Uh-oh. I did. Oh, hi, TikTokers. Hey, Kat Howard here with Windermere in Woodinville, Washington, joined by Dan Mellis with Nexa Mortgage. He's in Renton, and we are your go-to people. If you're looking to buy or sell a house, I'm happy to answer any of your questions if you're in that process or would like to start thinking about that process, either one, buying or selling a home or a condo. So we're here to answer your questions. So what do you think, Dan? How's the market looking?
Very interesting. For the first time since 2019, President Trump called up the Federal Reserve president and invited him to the White House. Apparently, they met today.
Oh,
that's actually big news. So we'll see what happens. I mean, they don't really talk about all the details and all that stuff, but just the fact that occurred, I think it's a big story, and we'll see how this plays out. The other thing to remember, as far as interest rates are concerned, is that the assumptions that some economists were using about these tariffs being inflationary, that is not coming to pass, at least not yet. Okay, the inflation is very, very under control right now. We're going to get the PCE tomorrow, personal consumption expenditures, that's going to be released, and you're going to, I think it would be pretty obvious that inflation is reasonably under control. So, who knows? Maybe we'll have some good news. We haven't had much lately, but well, we haven't. But we're going to go through some really interesting items that you've brought to the fore, looking at active listings and the percentage of properties that are on the market for 28 days or more, right?
Yeah. So let's just hit it. Let's just go into that. So 52% of all the active listings on the market right now, excluding condos and new construction, right? Vacant land. We're just talking single family detached residential, just to keep things simple. 52% of the active listings on the market right now have been on the market for 28 days or longer. That's 4 weeks. Those are sellers that, one, have either done a price reduction or maybe much more negotiable in dealing with an offer, right? So you've been on the market almost a month and you might be sweating bullets. And so, gosh, guys, that means there's a heck of a lot of listings in King County. Let's see, there was a total of 2,553 listings in King County. And that's a pretty big number. And over half of those have been on the market more than 28 days. So there would be likely room for some negotiation, including maybe a 2-1 buy down, which Dan's going to get into in just a few minutes. Let's just mention Snohomish County really quick. 47% of the listings in Snohomish County have been on the market longer than 28 days or longer. So Snohomish County also, nearly half of their active listings have been on the market 4 weeks or longer. Which, again, this time of year, boy, you start to get nervous because that's a slippery slope downhill for sellers. For buyers, it's a buying opportunity. So a lot of those homes, there's nothing wrong with. So for one reason or another, maybe they started overpriced, right? That's always a chance. Maybe they weren't fully prepared for the market. Maybe they weren't staged, and the marketing materials didn't turn out as good as maybe they had hoped. And so those are reasons why they may not have hit their offer review date or may not have gotten under contract within the first couple of weeks. And I will tell you guys, if you're looking in the greater Puget Sound area, the other counties are also running about the same. So 54% of listings over 28 days on the market in Pierce County, 59% in both Mason and Skagit counties have been on the market more than 28 days. And Kitsap County with the lowest, second to lowest number, 49% of the homes in Kitsap County have been on the market for 28 days or longer. And so I think that's an incredible buying opportunity in conjunction with, let's mention this really quick, the multiple offers being turned in. So in Snohomish County, it really is at a pretty low point for many, many, many months and weeks. It's down to 17% of the contracts that were turned in the last 7 days only 17% had multiple offers. In King County, it was down to 25%. So much fewer multiple offers over the past 7 days. Again, really, really good news for buyers. Winning. You guys can go out there and make offers, and you're more than likely not going to have to compete. So anyway, it's a good time for buyers out there. Right, Dan?
Well,
So,
that's a good lead in to our 2-1 buy down. I given the circumstances in the market, one of the techniques that you can use that really benefits you as a buyer is the 2-1 buy down, right?
yes.
And we've done that before with clients that we've got. We've done the 2-1 buy downs. They work beautifully. And there are some misconceptions about the difference between a 2-1 buy down and a normal interest rate buy down. So I wanted to give an example of what the 2-1 buy down does. Okay. And let's see if we can get that up here now. Okay. Let me take this banner off. There we go. Okay. So in a nutshell, I ran just an example. Okay. And if you're purchasing an $800,000 home, 20% down, you have a loan amount of $640,000 as of right now. Your interest rate would be this is on a first-time home buyer program, 6.797%. Your principal and interest payment on that would be $41.71. That's your base case, okay? But let's say you're doing some negotiations because the houses are they're not selling slow, but not as fast as they were before, and you get past the 1 or 2 week mark, and you have sellers that are a little bit more ready, willing to negotiate. Exactly. So rather than negotiate on price, one option would be to negotiate on selling concessions, right?
A seller credit towards
you,
the buyer, to pay for said 2-1 buy down. So, and then explain to everybody what that does.
Well, what that does is it two things. It reduces your payment. So what you're doing is you're not reducing your note rate. Note rate stays the same, but they put this concession money, in this case, in this example, be $14,776, and they put it into a pool of money, and then they reduce your monthly payment rate. At first, your first year, your payment goes down by an equivalent amount of, which would be a buy down rate of 4.797%. So that's where you come up with the 2-1 buy down in the title. The first year you get
2% decrease. Yeah.
You get a 2% decrease in your payment rate. And then the second year you have a reduction of 1% of your payment rate. So your normal payment, principal and interest on this scenario would be $41.71. Your first year, though, it goes down to $33.56, and your second year it goes to $37.54, and then year 3 you would go back to your normal $41.71. But why would you do something like that? And the reason is you're basically buying time, giving yourself some time to giving the loan time for interest rates to come down naturally. Right.
Or you to get a raise, with a raise in your job, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So
exactly.
life continues to hopefully get better and better. Your income improves somewhat, and it gives you 2 years to kind of adjust to that, this new higher interest rate environment that we have now, right? Hovering around 7.
Right. So it's from a buyer's perspective, it's the best way to immediately reduce your payment for the first 2 years.
Right. So the cost to the seller is the $14,000. What is that? 14,000. How much was that? 14,776. And that was on a loan amount of $640,000. Right. So that's what a 2-1 buy down would cost a seller in that particular scenario. So that $14,000. So you can do something like that. You could also ask for, if you think you could get more out of the seller than just the $14,000, because that would be their cost. You could also ask for $5,000 or $10,000 towards closing costs, if that's allowed. with the particular type of loan that you're getting. So, you know, in addition to, you're probably going to be able to negotiate an inspection, right, Dan? Something that a lot of people haven't been able to negotiate when we've been dealing with multiple offer situations. So, you know, or purchase price reduction is another thing that you could do as a buyer to help you buy the house that you want for a little less money. So anyway, so this particular time in the marketplace, we have almost half or more than half of the homes that are actively on the market that have been on the market greater than 28 days. And those sellers are going to be a lot more willing to look at an individual offer, or, you know, that is asking for closing costs or maybe less than the, you know, their asking price. And so there's a lot of different ways to, you know, to go about that. So you can ask for a 2-1 buy down. We can ask for seller credit towards closing costs, which can be extremely helpful. You can ask for purchase price reduction if you feel like they're terribly overpriced, or you think they might be amenable to something like that. You can also ask for things to be fixed on the inspection after you've gotten the inspection back. Hi, Amanda. Dan, it's Amanda.
Hello, Amanda.
Nice to see you. I keep forgetting to tell you when we're going to go live, but look at you go. She caught us anyway, Dan. And it's a random day and a random afternoon, Thursday. So anyway, thank you guys. Oh, yes, you have resurfaced. I was like, what did she mean by that? Like resurfacing countertops? And she goes, I've resurfaced. Anyway, so but I think it's a great time for buyers right now. You know, sellers, things are getting a little softer. You know, I had a listing this last week, and was selling, you know, a girlfriend of mine's house that is also in the biz, and we were trying to be very very realistic about our pricing. We did not want to start too high and get passed by like so many sellers are, and their house, and they did everything. They staged it, they prepared it perfectly. We had a pre-inspection. They took care of 2 out of the 3 things that were listed on the summary in the inspection report. And they hired me, and I gave them the full meal deal listing package, which included professional photos, professional cinematic listing video, in which I also go through the video with the viewer and I tell them all the cool things about the property. And then we also do a 3D Matterport walkthrough tour, which in this case also includes the exterior areas, which is really, really nice. You can stand in the backyard and spin around and see what it looks like from in the backyard or the front yard. And I had some professional marketing materials, some collateral out there, some beautiful brochures, 4-page brochures and flyers. And then I also held it open. We came on the market on a Tuesday, which is not normal, but it was a holiday weekend. We reviewed offers on Saturday. I had about 30 groups through my open houses. We did one Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And so everybody would have a chance to get through there. And then we had about 18 to 20 dedicated showings. So altogether, we had about 50 groups through. And so I would consider that pretty successful for heading into a holiday weekend. And we held our offer review on that Saturday. And I think I sent the inspection report out to about 12 groups. And we ended up with 3 offers. And one guy was willing to go super high. And then we had a couple of others that definitely boosted our final sales price. So we can't quite reveal that yet, but we got well over asking. And I believe my clients are very, very happy. And so anyway, that's kind of the gist of that. Did you get that picture I sent you, Dan? I was going to say you could just load that on the screen.
Which picture?
I sent it to him, guys. I really did.
You did? What?
Yeah, my listing. It's a picture of the house, and it's got 2 interior photos. I sent it to you in your email. You probably can't get it right like that, like on demand.
Hang on here. Oh, here it is. Wait a
Yeah,
minute. Hang
I'm
on.
crazy.
Hang on.
I like to spring a surprise on him once in a while, guys. It's kind of fun on.
Oh, look at that. Oh, hang on. I will get this
See, you
right
can
up
hear his
there.
reaction. He's like, that darn cat sends me stuff, extra stuff.
Hang on here. Let's.
Amanda, you get what you pay for. Yeah, you do, girlfriend. And I will also say I had the absolute best seller in the entire world. So, Anne and Andrew, they're amazing, and I love them both. That was fun all the way around. And I didn't know how it was going to go. Coming on the market on a Tuesday and then setting an offer review for a Saturday felt very odd to me, since my the way I'm programmed is go on the market Thursday, review offers Tuesday is the way to get your seller the highest and best for their house. But because of the upcoming holiday weekend, I really didn't want to be on the market over the holiday weekend. Wanted to get off the market before that. So there you go.
Well, hang on here. We may have a special surprise. I didn't know you sent that to me. Sorry about that.
I cut Dan with his pants down, figuratively speaking. Oh man, I think that's good though, because people are eager. Yeah, Amanda, you're right. People are looking, and not everyone is willing to pull the trigger right now because of the political and economic atmosphere right now. There's some just generalized fear out there, just people feeling uncertain because they may be worried about their job or somebody else's job they heard about getting going away, or being laid off. And so. But there's probably about half as many buyers that are willing to pull the trigger than maybe there were like 3 years ago. So normally if I send out the inspection about 12 times, I would expect 5 to 6 offers. And between last year and this year at this time of year, in fact, I would get 2 or 3 offers if I send it out that many times. So I think that's interesting to note that buyers are still buying and still excited to buy a home. Not everybody is buying into the whole fear thing. So, but anyway, you showed my picture.
There you go, right there.
Beautiful 1950 style split level home, and it's been amazingly. It was gutted in 2015 and completely rebuilt on the inside. New floor plan, the whole 9 yards. New kitchen upstairs instead of downstairs. And beautiful landscaping and all the modern, everything's modern and new and pretty, and vaulted ceilings, skylights, floor to ceiling windows. It's got just about everything somebody would want. 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms with at least a shower. And so it's pretty cool. 2250 square feet, and we were listed at 115. So, and we did better than that.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. So should we just hit really quick King County and Snohomish County data?
Yeah.
I know that Amanda would like to hear that. Oh, she mentioned the Microsoft layoffs. Yeah, no, listen, the narrative, anytime you get something like that, a Microsoft laying people off, fortunately, it was like the next day when Boeing got all these extra orders from Qatar, right? So it's kind of feels a little bit like, whiplash around here. We get a little bad news, then we get some good news, and for the Puget Sound. But anyway, I think that real estate is a good purchase long term. Just plan on holding it 5 years, guys. I don't have a crystal ball. The market could soften this year. It softens every year at this time, by the way. I have the data to prove it. It'll keep going down, by the way, till December. January will happen, and like I say every year, it's going to take off like a rocket ship. So, and it depends on the January, but for the most part, that's the truth, and we follow normal cycles. And it could be at the end of the year, it's a little more down one year than it was that time of year, the year before, and then maybe we do have a slight decrease in pricing. But those things are normal, and it doesn't take long for us to get back on track. So even with the 2008, 2009, I believe almost all of us were back above water within 5 to 6 years. So, and that was pretty devastating. That was a unique time in history. So, but yeah, let's start with King County there. What do you think, Dan?
We're up and running. Here you go.
So only 37% of sellers got under contract during that first week on the market. And that's if they listed May 11th to May 17th. And so that number has been steadily coming down. It's not devastating, but it's certainly not in the 60s like it was in like January, February. So, and then we had 46%. So only 46% of sellers got under contract within the first 2 weeks on the market. And that data is 2 weeks old, right? So it goes back 2 to 4 weeks ago. That number will probably be a bit lower going forward. And it has been coming down ever so slowly, but it has been coming down. You know, I think also what's interesting is the percentage of sellers that are getting over list price. And in this case, in King County, there's quite a few getting over list price. And this is the last 30 days of solds. So again, this is 30 to 60 day old data, so not your freshest. But we have 21% of sellers in King County got at least 5% or more over asking price. And 5% is a big number, right? On $1 million, that's $50,000. So, and our average sales price in King County is well over $1 million. So when you're thinking about a significant amount over asking, that's what that 5% represents in my mind. So you got 1/5 of sellers out there getting well over asking price, which is nice, a nice place to be. That number is going to come down going forward. And then we've got only, and we mentioned this earlier, 25% of contracts that got turned in the last 7 days, only 25% were result of multiple offers. And King County at 1.6 months supply of inventory. And that's teetering about the same. So it's just kind of going back and forth between 1.6 and 1.7 the last few weeks. So, you know, it's slowing down. Inventory's building, generally speaking. So we'll see how things look next week. But it's a good time for buyers, you know, like we were saying earlier with, you know, over 50% of listings in King County being on the market 28 days or longer, it gives buyers an incredible opportunity. There's not something wrong with every single one of those homes. They may have started too high, right? Or they may have not been completely prepared for the market. Maybe they've got some deferred maintenance, something that could be addressed with some seller credits, having an inspection and requesting the seller address a few of those items prior to closing, getting seller credits to be applied towards those items to repair. And of course, I am running out of juice. Hold on 1 second. I gotta plug in. I should anticipate this because, you know, these live streams have a tendency to pull your juice a little bit. But the good news is my cord's right here. Sorry about that, Dan.
Oh, no problem, Kat.
Okay, and then let's just jump right back into Snohomish here. So Snohomish County, 37% of sellers got under contract within the first 7 days on the market, and that's if they listed between May 11th and May 17th. And again, that number has been slowly coming down. And we showed you guys last week the comparison of where we are now versus last year, and you can see the market is underperforming this year when comparing to last year at this time. The market last year was quite a bit stronger for sellers. So this is a good buying opportunity, buyers. So, and 48% of the sellers got under contract within the first 2 weeks on the market. And that's if they listed April 27th to May 10th. So again, those numbers coming down ever so slightly, but 50% of sellers getting under contract within the first 2 weeks is a really good, strong seller's market still. I just want to add that. So I don't want sellers panicking out there. Unless you've been on the market more than 2 to 4 weeks, then it gets tougher. So we can talk strategy on that another day because there are some strategies we can employ. So if you're one of those sellers that's been on the market for a while, you might want to talk to your broker about what some options are. And then in Snohomish County, 14% of sellers received 5% or more over asking price. So not as significant a number as in King County, but still significant. And we had only 17% of contracts that got turned in Snohomish County in the last 7 days were the result of multiple offers. So most of the contracts that are being turned in Snohomish County do not have multiple offers on them. And then Snohomish County is still sitting at 1.3 months. So the inventory is, flattened out. And I want to say that that's probably due to the holiday, to be fair. So could be anyway. So anyway, that's the data for King and Snohomish counties. Is there anything else that is really kind of striking here? I mean, I think that was the big stuff. Let me just go over. Let's just talk about the last 7 days with what came on the market versus what sold, because I always think that's interesting. So 339 listings came on the market in King County last week, and we had 432 go under contract.
Well, we ate away at a little inventory last week.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And
okay, so that was because of the holiday, as it turns out. So people delayed listing, right? So watch, there'll be a bigger influx, and I think that's what happened with the month supply of inventory too, because it looks like we kind of leveled out or dipped back a little bit. Right. And I think what's happening, so we actually had more go under contract last week than were listed, because people held off because of the holiday. And so we had the same thing happen in Snohomish. Sorry, I wrote this down just earlier today, but I didn't really take a good look at it. So we had 154 come on the market in Snohomish County last week, but 190 went off the market. So again, chewing up a little bit of inventory over the holiday weekend. The buyers actually were out there buying, but it's always risky to list over the holiday weekend because there usually are fewer buyers. And so fewer multiple offers. And if you see what my data said with the multiple offers, they're down this week. So that is true. There's less multiple offers during the holiday. Just saying. So I thought that was interesting. In both King and Snohomish, more properties went under contract in totality than came on the market. And good for sellers for listening to me or their brokers. So, and similarly, I'd say Skagit County followed the same trajectory. They listed 25 homes and 34 went under contract. And Kitsap County ran a little bit behind. 84 people did decide to list, and only 76 went under contract, but still pretty tight there. And for Pierce County, 230 went on the market and 204 went off the market. So buying opportunities. So this is going to be a heavy listing week, you guys. This week will be a heavy listing week. And so we'll see a lot of homes coming on the market today and tomorrow, and be a great opportunity for buyers because there will be a lot more listings than normal. So even though we may see some multiple offer situations, it's not going to be like several weeks even prior to this week. It should be a much more relaxed atmosphere out there, except for the shiny objects, guys. Shiny objects are always going to get multiple offers, even in a buyer's market potentially. So anyway, well, you got anything else, Dan?
Not really. It's going to be tomorrow. We've got the PCE numbers coming out, and what else is going on? Not a lot. I mean, actually, I'm just kind of getting out and enjoying the weather when I'm not doing loans right now. So it's been a good week.
Me too. Yeah, I actually gardened all day Memorial Day. That was amazing. I do want to make one more mention. If anybody's out there still listening, I know we kind of go on and on. I have my McKees Beach listing. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath beach cottage that has no water view, has a peekaboo water view from the backyard. But you can't actually see the water from inside the house unless you're taller than me. If I get on my tiptoes, I can actually see over the neighbor's fence across the street. But it is 2 doors down from the beach access. And McKees Beach, if you don't know it, it's a private beach with 5 access points, and including the 2 boat launches. And they even allow for boat storage, trailer and boats on trailers storage in a community area there along the beach. And so it's pretty convenient. Even if you don't have a place to park your boat on your own property, you can park it up there as you come down the hill at the bottom there, right there in front of the beach. So it's kind of cool. You can also, get a mooring ball, and you can moor your boat, out there in the water, and then, have a little dinghy that you can paddle to shore from.
Well,
Amanda, it is the coolest spot, Amanda. I swear it is. Of all the beaches I've seen in Washington, it is one of my favorite. It goes on and on. It even gets sandy if you follow the beach around to the left. If you go north, it hooks into Kayak Point Regional Park, and that beach in there. It's just magical. There's whales. It is just, it's absolutely the coolest, and it's super deep right there. So you can park your boat right off the shore and go crabbing right off the shoreline. It drops the depth of water drops very quickly off of McKees Beach, much different than in Warm Beach. So, and McKees Beach is just a couple miles south of Warm Beach area. So it is pretty unique in that sense. It's a community of less than 90 homes. It's cool. The HOAs, I think it's just under $2,000 a year. So that'd be annually. And that includes road maintenance, as well as management of the steep hillside behind. They'll have tree people come out there, and arborists come out there and take a look and make sure there's no trees or tree limbs that are going to come down that, are trees that have died that they needed to make sure that they manage. So there's a real community effort there to keep things nice and safe. Anyway, really cool place. We've dropped the price to $7.25. It is absolutely turnkey. It has a vaulted ceiling. When people walk in there, they actually can't just stop oohing and awing. It has everything for a little 703 square foot cottage. There's these really nice solid wood pocket doors, double doors that close for the primary bedroom. And if you open those, you can lie in bed and actually watch TV or see the fireplace, in the main room. So that's kind of cool. And then there's a second bedroom, full-size washer dryer. The bathroom is more spacious than most people's bathrooms, and it does include that washer dryer in there. But there's also a whole covered back patio and back deck, and a super flat backyard. They made it that way so you could play bocce ball or cornhole. And the cottage comes fully furnished with dishes and all the things, coffee makers and everything. Every drawer is stuffed, and there's bedding and all kinds of stuff in there. There's even a paddle and a kayak, a game of cornhole. There's the lawnmower and the lawn equipment. There's a sump pump that pumps out water from the backyard. If the backyard gets too soggy or gets a little too wet, there's a sump pump that automatically comes on and pumps that out to the street into the stormwater drains, which is awfully nice because it can get wet down there, So anyway, it's just the cutest thing ever. Completely redone in 2018 to 2021.
Nice.
Interior, nice. Exterior, insulation, roof, everything has been redone. And there's room for parking for at least 5 cars right in front. And then I didn't realize this at first, but you can open the gate on the side of the house and you can park a whole boat, or you can drive another vehicle or two back there. So just so you know, it's got all the things. It's just the only thing, you can't see the water very well. You have to be kind of a tall stand on a box to see the water, or go in the backyard, or build a deck over the covered back area. And my guess is you could do that fairly easily. And I'd get myself some lawn chairs, and that'd be where I'd hang out. And you could see the water from up there. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on McKees Beach. It's very, very cool community. $7.25.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yes.
Right by the water there, right close.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Gosh.
And no steps. I forgot to mention that. Not even a step to the front door. There's no steps. It's built on slab on grade,
Hmm.
and there's not one step, and there's no step to the back patio either. That's just walk straight out the back door. So there's no steps anywhere, not to the bath, nothing. The only thing in the bathroom is there is a tub, but if you wanted to, you could take the tub out and just have that a walk-in shower.
Cool.
So,
Cool.
anyway, yeah, I just thought I had to mention the step thing because there's no
Yeah.
step. And I didn't realize that until I had a lady come by my open house last weekend, and she's like, "Oh yeah, there's no steps. This would work for my mom." I was like, "Oh yeah, no, there aren't any." So anyway, all right, Dan. Well,
All righty, Kat.
this, Dan.
Oh, Kat, it's great, and we'll see what happens here in the next week or so. But I think over the course
You
of the
think
next
interest rates are coming down, Dan?
well, I sure hope so. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. That's all I can say. No predictions.
No predictions. I know. I can't. Bye, Amanda. Amanda saying bye. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us today. I hope that you found the information useful. And Amanda says, tell Dan to call me when they hit 5%. He'll call you in 10 years now.
Tell her I'll be the blue mortgage officer. It's been holding his breath for.
He's not sure he's gonna live that long. I shouldn't say that. Oh my god.
Oh
Well,
no.
This lives forever on Facebook. Oh my.
Someday we'll get there. Okie doke. Thanks,
Yes.
Kat.
Okay. Bye, guys.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Amanda's laughing.